Hi guys, from this month's BBC Good Food magazine, I chose this next level quiche Lorraine, and it definitely lived up to its name. The pastry was so flaky and spiked with a hint of cayenne pepper and nigella seeds, and the filling was so cheesy, smoky and delicious. Start off by making the pastry. Do this by finely grating about 10 grams of parmesan and add it to a food processor, along with 200 grams of plain flour, 110 grams of cold butter cubed, and a pinch or so of cayenne pepper. Then just blitz it all up until it's starting to look a bit like breadcrumbs. Then turn it out into a large mixing bowl and add about 2 tablespoons of ice cold water and about a teaspoon of nigella seeds, and bring it all together with your hands. Knead it all until it's one lump of dough and the bowl is left more or less clean. Then lightly flour your work surface and roll the dough out into a circle so that it's about 5 centimeters bigger than the 23 centimeter, preferably fluted, loose bottom pie dish that you're going to use. This one is clearly not fluted, but it was the right size and it was all I had. Now I was going to go out and buy something else. Once it is the right size, then really carefully and gently and with your rolling pin, lift it up and into the pie dish. Don't worry about any cracks or breaks, they can all be mended once it's sitting inside there. Here I trimmed off the excess pastry, which I actually shouldn't have done. You should do that once it comes out of the oven having been cooked. Then transfer it to the fridge for 30 minutes, or even better the freezer for 20 minutes, and go ahead and preheat your oven out to 180 degrees Celsius. Then, after a quick tidy, I took it out and pricked the pastry a few times with a fork. This was almost frozen solid. I'm still getting used to my new American fridge freezer, but I can't fault that because the pastry did come out great. Now, line the pastry with a crumpled up sheet of greaseproof paper and pour in some baking beads. If you don't have these porcelain kind of baking beads, then dried rice or beans will do instead. Then transfer the pastry to the oven and allow it to bake for 20 minutes. Then remove the baking beads and allow the pastry to bake for another 10 minutes. Then just take the pastry out and allow it to cool completely. In the meantime, add a small bit of oil to a frying pan and brown off your smoked pancetta lardons. The recipe says to do this over a medium heat until they brown, but I've got it on full whack. It probably won't take long, maybe just 5 minutes, but just remember that if your bacon has got added water to it, that water needs to be cooked out and evaporated first before the bacon is able to brown. So it could take anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. So once it is looking all nice and brown and crispy, go ahead and remove the pancetta with a slotted spoon, leaving all the bacony juices in the pan. Next, season the fat with a really good grinding of freshly ground black pepper. And I probably would turn the heat down to medium here before you add 200 milliliters of double cream. Then stir it gently until it comes to a boil. Then turn off the heat and allow it to cool completely. As that's cooling, take 200 milliliters of creme fraiche and separate 4 eggs, adding the yolks to the creme fraiche, but reserving 2 egg whites for later. So once the 4 egg yolks are added, go ahead and whisk it up with a fork until it's all really nice and smooth. Next, take 1 spring onion and really finely slice it up before you add it to the hopefully now cooled cream, along with the egg yolk and creme fraiche mixture, and gently stir all that up until it's all nice and combined. Now bring back those 2 egg whites and whisk them up until they're light and fluffy and just holding their shape. I made the mistake I always do when whisking a small number of egg whites, in that I was sure it would take no time at all and it wouldn't be worth busting out the heavy machinery. Well, this took bloody ages, way more time than I'd have taken to wash all the mixer afterwards. This was when I finally threw in the towel. I probably could have gotten it a little bit firmer, but I was just really worn out from this. And you really do want to try to get as much air into it, get it really as firm as possible, because it's going to be incorporated into the filling and give it a kind of a souffle effect. So then just pour it into your creamy creme fraiche mixture, and I opted for a wooden spoon to fold this in really, really gently. Remember, you want to keep as much air in the egg whites and then into the mixture so that it'll rise in the oven. So just fold it in as gently and as best you can until it's all incorporated. Now bring back the pastry and dice up about 100 grams of cheddar before adding it to the pastry base. Now, the recipe says nothing about adding back the cooked lardons, so I was a bit stumped. I thought it was a bit of a waste. I did have a few gins the night before, so I had to reread the recipe about 3 times, and they didn't mention it at all. So I made the executive or hungover decision to go ahead and add the bacon here, and I definitely don't regret it. It just came out really, really nicely. You can choose to leave it out yourself if you prefer, but I think that's really wasteful. Now pour over the creamy, creme fraiche, bacony, egg, spring onion mixture and hope that it doesn't run over the sides of the pastry. And finally grate about 40 grams of Gruyere over the top before very carefully transferring it back to the oven that's already preheated to 180 degrees and let it bake for 30 minutes until it's all really nice and golden brown. And then once you've let it cool enough so that you can handle it, go ahead and remove it from your loose bottomed pie dish and set it out on a chopping board wherever it can just dig in and enjoy. The recipe says that this shouldn't be eaten hot, but maybe warm or room temperature on the day that it's cooked. But actually, I was eating leftovers for 2 days after this and it was always so delicious. I was so happy with it. Thanks a million for watching, guys. I really hope you liked this recipe, and if you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. You can check me out on social media if you like. You'll find all the links to my accounts in the description, as well as the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.funkycook.org.